how to stop procrastinating once and for all. So here's the thing. Probably you, like me, and most of the people out there, like we are procrastinating all the time. And in this video, I will be sharing some of my best tips and tricks on how to stop procrastinating forever. I know it's a big claim, but like I will do my best to deliver value. So first of all, like you probably have two questions right now, like number one, who am I? And number two, why should you listen to me? And those are two very good questions. So my name is Tor Refsland, and I'm responsible for some of the most profitable ad campaigns on the planet. And in addition to that, I've been publishing a book with some of the best marketers in the world, like Seth Godin, Chris Brogan, Grant Cardone, and Brian Clark, and even Elon Musk's right-hand man in Tesla, yes, Tesla, reached out to me personally and wanted me to train their marketing team. But here's the thing, like you think like, okay, Tor, like that's fine, you know your marketing stuff, but like how can you talk about productivity and time management, right? So in order for me to kind of like give you the quick backstory, like I just need to give you the big like the quick backstory here, and so you can kind of like understand where I come from. So this was probably like time is flying by, but about like 11 years ago, I was working for one of the biggest companies in my country, and like fancy IT position, like management, whatever. And basically the workload every single day were so much that basically I was doing like 150% work. Basically one person is doing 100% work. That's what's your availability during a work day and during a work week. But I had 1.5, right? So like whatever I did, I would never catch up because the workload would always be 50% more than my cap, right? So basically I had two choices right there, and I knew it. Like number one, I'm either going to get burned out and like really kind of crash and burn and probably really hit the wall, or number two, I need to be like really creative and kind of resourceful and actually come up with a new way how to handle this stuff, right? So long story short, I dived deep, went in total monk mode on reading and like taking courses on time management and productivity. And just to kind of like fast forward, so I was able to crack the code on a completely new productivity system that basically helped me to 4x my productivity. Yeah, so let me say that again. This productivity system helped me to 4x my productivity. So what I used to do in 8 hours every single day, I was able to do in 2 hours. And this was consistently, right? Not one-off, but consistently what I was able to normally do in 8 hours, I now was able to do in 2 hours consistently. And yeah, obviously I didn't tell my boss at that time, right? Because, yeah, you know. So anyway, so that's kind of like, I created like different productivity systems for myself because I had a big problem and then I solved it, right? And this is also like why some of the most successful people out there, like the entrepreneurs, like they're building really good kind of like product or services. And when they're getting asked like, but how did you come up with the idea? It's basically, hey, like I had this big problem and I solved it. And then I found out that other people wanted it as well. But anyway, enough of the boring stuff. So that's kind of like, I know a thing or two when it comes to productivity. And but my point here is like, okay, so how can we stop procrastinating, right? Even if you're running a business and like in general, like how can we stop procrastinating? So the number one thing is actually not to overthink, right? Because like if you try to make things like perfect, and yeah, I used to be a perfectionist before, which was a real hassle, because if you're a perfectionist or you know someone who's a perfectionist, like it's kind of like an obsession in a bad way, because like as a perfectionist, you're never satisfied. You can always do something that is better. You can always do something that's better, right? Kind of like one of like the really great like painters, like with a great painting, like a great artist will never be satisfied. There's always things that can be changed and added, right? So my point here regarding like the perfectionist, what I then basically came up with, like, number one, with the kind of eureka moment was that, like, hey, it will never ever be perfect. Like, it will never ever be perfect. The task that you're doing, it will never ever be perfect. But I need to find out what's good enough, right? So basically, this is how it works. And this is kind of like me doing like a lot of like experimenting and doing pretty well in the corporate business life before I started my online entrepreneurship, and did quite well with my online business as well, but that's a story for another time. So most people out there, so let's just take like in a workplace, just to make this like super simple, right? So most people in a workplace want to do the bare minimum, right? So they basically want to get paid their normal salary, but they're always trying to kind of like find out like, okay, but like they're kind of like optimizing in the subconsciousness because they're lazy. Like we humans, we are lazy. So they're optimizing in their subconsciousness, like, oh, how can I optimize to like do even less work, but still get paid the same amount of money, right? So this is what most people are doing. Like they're trying to kind of like, they try to avoid doing work and still get paid. Like I'm just like, I'm not going to go into it, but trust me, that's just like the human nature. So this is what most people are doing. And other people are doing like so some people are like doing like trying to optimize for doing less than they need. Other people are just coasting or floating, meaning that if they get paid like X amount of money per month in salary, and they've been doing that for a longer period of time, they kind of know that they can just like float basically like this without it having impact, right? So what you want to do, and this is obviously if you want to stop procrastinating, but if you want to do well as well in business, would basically be to do the little extra every single time. So instead of kind of like doing like as a perfectionist, you just need to kind of realize like nothing will ever be perfect, but heck, like if people on average, the majority is doing this, which is like kind of like the average, I need to be doing this, like 5% more, 10% more every single freaking time. So let me repeat this. If people are doing this kind of quality when they're delivering their work, you need to be like 5% or 10% better every single time consistently. And to be quite honest, like being like 5% better than the average is pretty freaking easy. And the same goes for 10%. So it's not kind of like as crazy as you think. And everything has to do with consistency. So let me repeat that. Everything has to do with consistency. So when you're doing something, and so say your boss, so if you have a work or whatever and you're delivering like consistent result above the average every single time, he or she will be like, oh, like this guy or this gal is pretty awesome. That's a good quality work. But you didn't kind of like pull like rabbits out of your hat of doing magic tricks or any kind of like insanity. You basically just delivered like 5% or 10% extra based on the average, right? On the average people. So that's really kind of what really helped me to stop procrastinating is kind of like to just like do, like don't make it perfect because you never will, and just like focus on doing like the 5% or 10% better than average every single time. This is super important. So another thing is just like, this can kind of also tie into kind of like my situation just like a few minutes ago. I was kind of sitting here and I was just like, okay, now I'm going to kind of create a video that I'm going to publish on YouTube. Like, what the heck, what am I going to do? Like, am I going to like, need to take like, write like a lot of notes and stuff before I do it? Should I plan it? And then I was just like, hey, screw it. Like, I will suck in the beginning, let's face it. Like, whatever you're doing new stuff, you will suck at it in the beginning. Like, just face it. So I'm just like, okay, what the heck? Like, I'll suck at it. I'll suck at it in the beginning, and I'm not going to even like edit like the video. I'm just going to do it raw like this. And And here's the thing, like this is kind of like, obviously I put up some kind of lighting stuff and I probably could have done more, but like I don't care, like I just like shoot it just like this. And the reason kind of like why you want to think about just like it's all about, so this is kind of like number two. Number one is kind of overcoming, like making it to don't be a perfectionist, and obviously adding like the 5% or 10% extra every single time. And then you have number two, it's just basically taking action. Because here's the thing, it's at the end of the day, like what kind of differentiates people that are very successful in their business and the people that are not is that people that are successful has just failed a lot more times, right? And it's natural to fail. So it's all about basically taking action, because the difference between someone that is taking a lot of action is that he or she will probably have failed like maybe 10 times more, while the procrastinator is doing some half-ass attempt on doing the same activity, right? So this is kind of what it's all about, and this is kind of like something that is kind of very dear to my heart, and has helped me to be like very successful in the corporate life, and also like doing like having pretty decent success, like starting several online businesses as well. It's to just like to take massive action. So this is kind of like number three, to just like take massive action. And this is the best way to kind of like push yourself, push your mental state to just like do something, right? Instead of sitting there and like, oh no, I don't dare to like create this video, or I don't dare to do the cold call, or I don't dare to like publish the ad or whatever that you're doing in your business. It's all about just like jumping into it and just like taking massive action. So yeah, so I hope that was helpful, and that's kind of like what I see, like when you can kind of like, now we're talking about like reprogramming your mind, but when you can reprogram your mind, whenever kind of you start like, either like you start to procrastinate by overthinking, or you kind of like feel it in your body, like start to kind of breathe heavily, your heart rate is rising because you're getting nervous and anxious, and just like, oh yeah, no, I will never like create the video or whatever that you're going to do in your business, it's totally fine, right? It's totally fine. So just like, it's fine to just like accept that whenever you're doing new stuff, like it's going to be hard the first time, and like the first times for a longer period of time, and it's all about just taking massive action. So anyway, I hope that was helpful. So those are kind of like some of the tips that really kind of helped me to kind of like kill the procrastination beast every single time, and to just like massively freaking crush it whenever I'm kind of putting my mind to a goal. And yeah, if you have any questions, just like comment in the comment section below. And if there are some topics regarding business that you want me to answer, just yeah, comment in the comment section, and I might create a video on it later. Okay, bye bye for now.